And good morning. As I record this 5:53 a.m. Central Time on this Tuesday, the 29th of July. I am Jacob Payne, bringing you this edition of Things You Might Not Have Heard. These are stories that you may have heard way too much of because they are some breaking news stories and big time stories, or some stories you may have missed because they don't quite make it to the mainstream with everything going on. So we get a good mix as your tertiary news source, we like to call ourselves, because we're not your main prime source. We're not giving you the red meat. We're giving you ice cream and maybe snacks sometimes. Sometimes we'll put up to a secondary issue because we're not in the field, and you'll hear that directly from some stories we have today. So 8 stories from the past day into this morning that are trending, that people were talking about, that you guys told us are worthy of chatting up. You helped us by picking these stories. From me, Jacob Payne, your news nerd and media trends analysis guy. So we're going to get to those stories in just a minute. Right now, I want to remind you that our website home is conversationproject.com, where you can find details about how we do this, why we do this, and as we get this thing back into some semblance of order. In the meantime, check out our spotlight sponsor, which is Ground News. At this, it's a conversationproject.com/ground news. When you use that link, it's an affiliate link, we get a small commission back. You can get 40% off the Vantage plan to get all the news you need to, the real news, the good news, the best news possible out there, because a lot of it is a bit out there wonky right now. This picture right here in our teaser graphic, you may think it's a woman of your dreams, but for some of us, it is a stuff of nightmares. We'll get to her in just a bit. Stories also on the line with a lot of crime going on, including breaking news about the shooting in New York City and a Cobra and a baby. And you won't believe who wins in this battle. But first, let's get to our first story, first headline of the morning. This is literally breaking news right now, and we're getting details of it. We posted it fairly late last night as it happened, into the middle of the evening last night. And more details are coming out about the gunman who killed 4 people, including a police officer, in a shooting in New York City office tower. He opened fire in a Midtown Manhattan office tower, killing 4 people, and a responding New York police officer, an off-duty officer who just responded to the crime. Identified as a former employee of a law firm on the 18th floor, was reportedly terminated last year and routinely returned heavily armed for this day. Eyewitnesses described the chaos as office workers barricaded doors and fled down stairwells to get away from the midday rampage. Now, what we're finding out, that's the breaking news part, is it happened, of course, near the offices of the NFL, and the NFL may actually be a target of this. Apparently, the man may have some issues with how the NFL was handling CTE, and this is why they were the target of the shooting. He was also killed by police in the shootout before fatally wounding one officer and 3 civilians in the total melee. They don't have the true native yet. We're just now finding this out in bits and pieces. So the breaking news over my shoulder is trying to break into figuring out what's going on here. But they've been following this all night long to figure out what the deal is on this one. Mayor Adams is calling this a dark day for the city. Renewed calls for stricter gun control at the federal level for these things. As we learn more details of this crime, we'll get them to you. But right now, we know it's a serious crime. The shooter had some grievance, apparently, when he went back to the office. And it seems like all things are pointing right now to issues with the NFL. Now, that's a pretty nebulous thing, the NFL. We'll see if we can make some heads or tails of this and give you updates on this throughout the day. It was already a police blotter sort of day. We added that story on the shooting in Manhattan because it was breaking and new news are coming out there. But we already had so many in there to crease the crime blotter stories that essentially what's in my head is the earworm is City of Crime, the rap from Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks from the Dragheart movie many years ago. If you know that song, I'm sorry. But let's go to this next story here and just continue. It's a big batch of not great stories to open up this Tuesday. Ex-officer sentenced to 15 years to life for killing Black man after mistaking his phone for a gun. A former California police officer has now been sentenced 15 years to life for fatally shooting a Black man back in 2022 after misidentifying his cell phone and his keys as a weapon that he was pulling on him. The victim was 27-year-old Jalen Harris, shot during a wellness check after neighbors reported loud noise. He was unarmed, as we know now. Prosecutors argued the officer used excessive force without issuing clear commands or waiting for backup. Defense claimed the officer acted within policy guidelines and feared for his life. Obviously, there was no weapon, so his life being feared for was questionable. Civil rights groups praised the rare conviction in a step towards law enforcement and accountability. In most cases, these things go the way of the police officer who is doing their job and may think there's some sort of threat. In this case, as they went through all the evidence, there really was not a visible threat. So the reason for the shooting was deemed unjustified. This is a story that had a lot of people sort of up in arms and just how did this thing happen? How does the thing go so far? The landlord was convicted in a hate crime against Palestinian Americans as they die. He's going to die in prison. I read that totally bad. So that headline was really totally butchered. But Joseph Flannery was convicted in 2024 of a hate crime for violently attacking a Palestinian American family he was renting to, and he has died in prison. Flannery was serving a 20-year sentence for attempted murder and federal civil rights violations. His death comes less than a year after his conviction. He was in ill health and old when he went in, so it was not expected to live out the 20-year sentence, but they did not expect him to die within a year of the time. It's the crime and the case drew national attention during a spike of anti-Arab incidents. Across the nation, there were many people who were attacking Arab people, and this was a case where a man who was actually renting out a house to Arab American family. Yeah, just you get that. Advocates for the victim's family said the case remains a sobering example of housing-related hate violence. No foul play is expected in his death, though an autopsy is pending. Apparently, just an old man who died in jail. Here's a story that hits very close to home right here in Arkansas, as police have released a sketch of a person of interest in killing of a couple over the weekend in Arkansas's Devil Dens Park. They've released this composite sketch of a person of interest in the murder of a couple who were hiking in the Devil's Den State Park with their children over the weekend. The victims are identified as Evan and Lila Moore. They're found fatally shot near a trailhead while the children were discovered unharmed nearby. Witnesses responded to seeing a lone man in tactical gear in the area shortly before the attack. Case has unsettled the community and led to increased patrols in regional parks across the state here, and investigators urge the public to come forward with any leads towards this case. If you see anyone looking like this sketch or anything that are out of ordinary, call police immediately. This is one that we, and I say we as a member of the state here and just a person just in general, want this one figured out very quickly, as we have two young girls who now have to be parentless because of whatever happened out in the woods this past weekend. Quick pause to remind you we need your help. We need you to watch these things and enjoy what you're seeing, or not enjoy it. I guess if you want to hate watch it, we'll deal with that too. But need you to like or hit the like button for whatever you're watching on whatever platform you're watching, on X, on YouTube, and of course on Facebook. And of course, if you share with other folks, that means more people get a chance to see what we're doing here because you're thinking it's worthy of the attention. The news is worthy, the commentary is worthy, a little less commentary as we're making this more pithy, but we're doing our best to keep things going, although we're going a little long today. In the meantime, we also need you to subscribe if you're not getting this native in your feed. Now, if you like and share, the algorithms will see what's going on there, and we'll share it with more people out there so more people get to see it. We grow more. But if you subscribe to it, you don't have to worry about being shared to or having it pop up in a random thing. You know what you like, you know what we're giving to it, and you comment back with how we're doing so we can do our best to engage with you as best as possible. The Justice Department is shutting down a massive dark web child abuse network with 120,000 members. Good news for the crime blotter on the day, something that's actually actively doing some real good on the front end. As the DOJ has dismantled this major child exploitation network operating on the dark web, and they arrested 200 individuals across 38 countries to get this done. The platform reportedly had more than 120,000 members responsible for distributing millions of illegal images and videos online. Officials called it one of the largest operations of its kind, using advanced AI and cryptocurrency tracking to uncover the network. This was a big deal. This was hard to get into, and once they did, they took it down justly. The takedown was coordinated with Europol, and several other U.S. agencies and non-U.S. agencies across the world to get this done. DOJ says the investigation is ongoing, as they're looking for more people involved and more arrests to take care of. We are definitely much, much better for this one going on today. As I said, this is not the woman of your dreams. This is AI. And Vogue has used an AI model, and Outrage is going across the internets, across the world, across the standards to people in journalism and just people in general, as beauty standards are now being questioned by the AI image of what beauty is. Vogue is facing this backlash with this generated model for a fashion editorial spread. They argue that the move undermines real representation and deepens the industry's reliance on unattainable ideals. Essentially, putting in beautiful into AI and it coming up with some sort of picture based off of whatever standards AI thinks is right, as opposed to what people may think, is not diversity forward, or at least that's what the people are complaining about. The AI avatar being promoted as diversity forward, but some people think it's more Eurocentric because this person is Eurocentric, essentially blonde hair, white skin, all the digital perfections, things that you would say in a supermodel from a European country. It may look like someone similar, someone you may have seen before, because it's essentially taking pieces of pictures that people deem as popular and making an amalgam, putting them together. Activists and models unions are demanding transparency and ethical guidelines around the use of artificial faces in fashion. Basically, is this real or is this fantasy? Vogue has not responded to the growing calls for editorial accountability. They are trying to go forward into new territory. Anna Wintour is now no longer with the company. And so now that she's gone, we have these things to talk about. And we'll have these things to talk about. Is AI may not destroy us by making us dumber, but it may destroy us by making us dumber. Bend It Like Beckham 2, Electric Boogaloo. That's what I like to call it. But there will be a sequel 2 decades after the original film for Bend It Like Beckham. The 2022 sports comedy is going to be worked out for a number 2 in development now. Director Grunheim and Chodma confirmed the project will focus on the original characters now navigating adulthood and parenting. So not so much playing soccer together, but the roles of being adults and adulting. That's going to be interesting. The original film was praised for its portrayal of culture, gender roles, and sports aspirations. Fans are curious to see how the stars, much younger stars who are now much bigger stars, are going to do in their reprised roles, or if they actually will bring them back. Will Keira Knightley and Padmanabh Nagra actually come back in the roles? They may be too big for their britches, if you will, but we'll see what happens since it's stealing on the original characters. No release date, no shooting date, nothing's in there right now. In production is all we get. And I don't care if this story is real or not real. We're talking about it. It's got my attention. You guys are like, what the what? And we're going into the baby that bites a cobra to death after the snake wraps around its hands. A toddler in India reportedly killed the cobra on its own by just biting it as it coiled around its arm. The 1-year-old was playing outside when the snake struck. Local doctors say the child was miraculously unharmed. Authorities believe the cobra died from internal injuries caused by the bite. Wildlife experts called the incident rare and warn against romanticizing the event, i.e., don't go chasing cobras. And the child's family says he is healthy and being monitored for any delayed effects. Of course, having his the restriction of his blood vessels is a serious thing, and it could have been a whole lot worse. We are definitely glad for the outcome of this one. If you've not read Ricky Tikki Tavi as a child, the one you may want to think about, the ferret who chased the rats in India, ferrets chased the cobras in India. But this is a story that has a happy ending. We're glad it has a happy ending. We would not be talking about it if it were the sadder ending, I'm sure. This is not the kicker stories we're normally used to doing, but hey, we got it today, and we're glad to have this one on this route. Quick stop off with our spotlight sponsor, which is Ground News. Visit them at our website for the link for our affiliate link. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news, and you'll get 40% off the Vantage plan and all their plans for more extended news coverage on the platform. Now, it's a free platform. You can go there and search news stories on the top of it, but the deeper details come from having those paid prescriptions. We use the Vantage plan in our research for our stories every day. We'll look at stories and wonder just how real they are, how bad they are, who's getting coverage, who's actually covering the story about the baby biting the cobra. Apparently, a lot of places are covering that story, and they're covering it very consistently because it's pretty simple. And it's not a fake story from what we can tell. Everyone's covering it, so we know it's there is real. Who's covering the AI model story with Vogue? A lot of places as well, and various places have their own spin on it. Some are seeing it as revolutionary. Some are seeing it as a bit of a scary thing. And you can do your research and see what other venues are seeing and saying about various stories, whether they're local, they're national, or they are international at Ground News. And if you really to go wild on yourself, see what's going on there, what you're actually missing, use their blind side feature. The blind side feature allows you to see stories that if you're not watching other venues, other different standards, other places out there that you're not used to, if you're a Fox News watcher or MSNBC watcher, you can see what the other side is showing of their folks and not showing you because someone doesn't want you to see it, essentially. So get into the ground floor of the news the best way you can and get 40% off their subscription plans by using our link. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. That's this. It's theconversationproject.com/ground news. With that, we are done. It's been the Tuesday, July 29th edition for 2025 for Things You Might Have Heard. I am Jake Living Payne, wrapping up on a newer edition, as a newer pithy edition, as we're going live. And so apologize, I got 4 different clocks, all these different things running to kind of keep track of these things. So I think it's later than it is, and it's not, but it is later than it is. We're working on the pithiness. We're wrapping these things up in less than 16 minutes or so, top to bottom, and I will work on succinct commentary and staying on track and not going into the long things. I guess I'll wait for long things for the hot takes. So hot takes are now, especially for long things. We're done. Love you, mean it. Thank you for getting us 2 days in. We're going to do our best to get 5 days in because it's what you guys deserve. We'll see more of you and you'll see more of us in hot takes and, of course, these things here tomorrow.